Here, Chester. Maybe it'll help you through these tough times.
No, thank you, sir. I still have my dignity. That's one thing they can't take away from me.
Don't bother trying to distract Ollie with doodads and knickknacks. His attention is firmly established elsewhere. Joe is far too proud and noble to take what you have to give him. He'd rather steal it. Don't bother giving that to Muff. He'll just gamble it away. Cooper apparently isn't interested in show and tell.
Get away from me, son. You bother me.
Ollie's money is dwindling rapidly. Coarse gold has really gone to pot now. Aces is clearly winning by a mile. He's piled up a lot of chips in addition to a pocket full of property deeds. Aces is holding his cards tightly. One of his hands appears unusually stiff. Maybe he's nervous? Don't take Ollie's money. He needs all he can get right now.
Whoa there, son. Nobody at this table's gonna take kindly to you walking off with their chips. Hands off that. It's mine. I want it fair and square.
Are you sure about that?
Am I sure? Am I sure? I'm the most honest gambler in this here town.
Oh, like that's saying much.
Don't touch my cards, Silver Boy. You wouldn't want to be accused of cheating, would you?
Goodness, the saloon sure filled up fast. Practically the whole town's gathered round to see you die a bloody death. I mean, to see you bring Aces to justice. There's nothing you can reach from your strategically rotten position behind the overturned table. Don't ask the townies for help, Freddy. The ball's in your court. A brass rail runs along the length of the bar. This is a decorative, if uncomfortable, place for the drunks to rest their heads. It must be made of very hard metal, as it has withstood the test of heels for many years. Wheaton Aces Hall, the infamous riverboat gambler, seems to have you under a barrel.
How peculiar. Why would a riverboat gambler, especially one as successful and popular as Aces, come to a two-bit burg like Coarsegold? This can't be a coincidence. Someone must have sent him a wire. But why?
Touch me and you'll get a bullet in the heart before you know it.
Golly, talk about homophobia. Drop your gun and give up. You can't win.
Considering you're the one cowering behind a table, don't you think you should be the one giving up?
I'm not cowering.
Could have fooled me.
If I give you this, will you go away?
Are you kidding? If you give me one of those, I'll be your friend forever. Bosom buddies, old pal, old bean, together, whatever the weather, two of a kind, you and your shadow, inseparable.
You hurriedly stick it back in your pocket rather than face further companionship. What an excellent idea. But if you do that, Leisure Suit Larry will never have been born, and you'll throw Sierra Online into a time-space paradox from which it'll never recover.
Let me at those cattle!
Without warning, you hear gunshots out in front of the saloon, plus lots of yelling and shouting. What's going on out there?
It's crazy out there, Srini. A whole bunch of rowdy cowhands are busting up Main Street. I almost didn't make it back alive.
Yes, I have been hearing their obnoxiousness. You are outgunned, Freddy Pharkas.
How do you propose I should deal with them?
I find humor a way to diffuse hot tempers. But I am a humble pharmacist's assistant. Perhaps I am looking at the situation from too far away.
Well, are you going to stop those rowdy cowhands?
Hell no, boy. I'm gonna let them do their business. Then I'm gonna collect my cut and get out of this town. And I advise you to do the same.
Trying to put yourself out of your misery? What are you, a man or a horse? Save yourself! This is the one-room schoolhouse. It's a lot dingier and darker on the inside than it looked from the outside. Just like Penelope. You see Penelope in a whole new light, now that you know what a cad and a bounder she is. That angelic face belies the vicious, calculating, cold-hearted murderer she really is. But who, boy, you still wouldn't mind those lips touching yours, and no, stop thinking that way. She's a bad girl. Bad girl. You see row upon row of quaint school desks, complete with one-piece bench, desktop, and inkwell. Ooh, one of them still has a pigtail stuck in it. A child's slate rests on a nearby desk. It's a copy of American history from then till now, all 33 pages worth. Looks like somebody's taken a bite out of McGruff's reader. It's all about Bob, Dick, and Jane, and how much fun it was for Bob and Jane. It's a ball of some sort with strange markings all over it. At first you think it's supposed to be the Earth, but the Earth is very slightly egg-shaped, so that obviously isn't it. Anyway, you scarcely have time to worry about it right now. It's a fascinating book about Puff and Spot, a dragon and a soda pop character. You've got no time for sex ed right now. Some old camel's hair paintbrushes sit on the shelf, just in case the kids decide they want to paint some camel hair. The latest and greatest American flag stands limply at attention, a feeling not wholly unfamiliar to you. Looks like somebody started a very nice portrait of George Washington, the father of plywood dentures. A couple of Civil War swords, or at least fabulous replicas from the Frankenheimer Mint, are mounted high up on the wall. There's a large chalkboard on the wall behind the teacher's desk. The teacher's desk stands on the raised platform. That's one of the hanging lamps that helps illuminate the peaceful, yearning, upturned faces of the ignorant and uneducated who come in on Parents' Day to see how their children are doing. Textbooks and classics of literature sit on this shelf. There's a small map of the United States. Have you noticed how California on the map to the right appears to be larger than all the United States put together? That's California ego for you. There's a large, colorful map of California on the wall. How nice! Some of the children's artwork has been placed up on the wall for all to admire.
Say, if only somebody would invent a box with an electrical heat exchange unit and some sort of gaseous coolant, you could use magnets to affix these pictures to the outside of the box and display them thusly in a kitchen.
But that's not important right now. There's an old broomstick leaning against the wall. Left window is closed. This window's propped open. It's a rickety wooden bucket long past usefulness and into the quaint decor mode. This stove keeps the kiddies warm in winter and dries their mucklucks. Some old chunks of hard wood sit in the scuttle. You see a bench where the children sit to remove their mucklucks. There on the wall are a couple of small daguerreotypes. Looks like the kids took some crayons to them. A row of pegs for coats is hung on the wall here. Looks like one of the children forgot to take his or her coat. There's going to be hell to pay at home later. The basement floor is bare rock. Well, it would be bare if it weren't so dirty. The ground feels like solid rock with a layer of dust on top. Stairs lead up to the schoolroom, and they're looking mighty attractive right about now. You'd never be able to drag your chair up those steps, at least not in time to avoid being incinerated. A decrepit piano sits under the stairwell. Of course, you'll play your way out of here with a few old family favorites. Wait, that logic seems somehow flawed. A large stone column topped with wood beams dominates the room. The column ain't going nowhere. In the position you're in, you can't even get a grip on it. A few old schoolroom desks have been piled haphazardly on the far side of the column. They're way round back of the column where you can't get at them. A few dusty schoolroom charts lean against the large crate. Those charts will do you no good whatsoever. They're years out of date. Some books have been stacked at the base of the column. Yeah, right. You'll slice your way out of these ropes with the bookbinding. Then you'll dash upstairs and give Penelope a fatal paper cut. It's a kerosene lantern way up out of reach. You are deluding yourself in a big way. It appears to be a harlequin doll, his eyes glaring at you in the flickering firelight, his mocking grin making you feel all oogie inside. From here, you must be thinking of that other Al Lowe game, Plastic Man Frontier Pharmacist. This old picture is decorated with images of elder statesmen. Dream on, and if you don't find a way out of this predicament quickly, you will be dreaming on and on and on. It's a little brown jug. Oh, sure, let's pour a little moonshine on the burning oil and see if that helps. Anyway, you can't reach it from here. This decorative toy chest is old and worthless. Yes, crawling through the puddle of oil to get to the toy chest seems like a smashingly good idea, doesn't it? Think again, brainiac. A rolled-up chart or map of some sort stands in the corner of the basement. Your instinct for survival tells your natural curiosity to shut up about the map and start concentrating on getting out of here. There are a lot of books stacked up in the corner. You'd like to read some of the clever titles, but they're too far away. From here, though, they do look very flammable. You may be an intellectual, Freddy, at least compared to most of the other schmucks in this town, but you do choose the darndest times to try to catch up on your reading. An old barrel of some sort stands far out of reach in the corner of the room. Try looking at it and reading the words very carefully. Looks like the oily swamp water has seeped into the basement. Wait, that's not swamp water. That must be oil. It's what Penelope was after all along. Coarse gold was sitting on a rich oil deposit and you never even realized it. It also appears to be burning quite readily, and from what little you know about oil, you don't have long before the whole thing goes up in flames, taking you and the schoolhouse with it. Boy, were you guys stupid or what? Still, this seems like a rather severe punishment. Maybe you should be finding a way to avoid the oil as much as possible rather than trying to splash about in it. There's a child's toy drum on the shelf. What were you going to do? Bang the drum slowly? Some jars sit on the top shelf of the bookcase over yonder. The jars are far out of reach. There's a small bookshelf set in the wall near the stairs. Hey, that's school property. Leave it alone. Nothing on the desk looks immediately useful to you. You briefly consider throwing or hiding behind a desk, but decide instead that cool concentration and cunning are the secrets to bringing this encounter to a quick and just conclusion. Perfect. You grab the map, roll it up, and conk Penelope over the head with it. Not. You can brush up on your geography later. Have you tried Gold Rush? What are you trying to do? Beat a hasty retreat? Deal with the problem at hand, Freddy. This is no time to be reading the classics. You'd be bored silly. No need to take the broom. It's not like you have to bring it back to the wizard as proof that you defeated Penelope. The old wooden bucket isn't sturdy enough to be of any use. You resolve to return at a calmer moment and retrieve some of these pictures to decorate your pharmacy, the fire burning downstairs notwithstanding. The stove is cold and empty. How like Penelope's heart. Neither the chunks of wood nor the scuttle itself will help you out of this mess. It's too heavy to be hurled effortlessly, or even picked up, or just moved. Those little pictures are too flimsy to be of any use to you. You rifle through the child's coat pockets looking for loot, but you find nothing. You crumb. Now's no time to be taking pictures. There's more than enough light for you to see what you need to do. This would be a terrible time to wrap yourself in the flag. It has a very low armor factor. This is no time for arts and crafts. You've got no time to brush up on your reading skills. You can't reach the strange orb. Now's no time to brush up on the American Revolution. All 33,000 deaths worth.